There we go. Live.
There we go. We're live. Welcome all. And so far we're 2 people in here, and hopefully we're going to get a heck of a lot more people in here in a couple minutes, hopefully. And
Hey guys.
let me get it off the stop the presentation. And with us right now we have I'm Tank. Who else is with us right now?
Dante.
Reset Racing, also known, that's my YouTube name. My name's Travis. Meet you guys.
And Dante, you're from?
The Rochester area, Goodhue, yeah, closer to Goodhue, Minnesota.
So Dante's your username?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I think, yeah.
That's on your YouTube also, right?
Yes, and I do have a couple video. Well, I have one video, and I hope to do more in the future of scale stuff along with my trailer and stuff. So.
And what do you have for a truck? You were showing it off just a couple minutes before.
Trail Finder 2, but I made the top all aluminum, or making an aluminum body with hoods that open along with doors that open, and I painted the wheels and working on a tailgate along with my 5th wheel hitch, which isn't in the back right now, but that's on my gooseneck, and then I got my bumper for it.
Cool.
So that's kind of hard to see with the lighting, but it has. I just put the D-rings on there. If you can kind of see that, I welded those on there, or solder, I should say.
Okay. So you do your own soldering?
Yep, I do quite a bit.
What is it, brazing you do, or?
Just soldering, like what you do for copper pipes or something.
Okay. Cool.
I do like brazing, but I haven't done that with remote control cars yet, and I don't have a brazing. I don't have a brazier at my house, so.
Cool. And Travis, what do you have?
I have a HPI Savage Flux 2350. It's pretty much stock except the electronics. I got it as a roller, and I put a Castle Creations Sidewinder 8 system in it, and I'm running 4S LiPo on it, and a Stabbox waterproof servo with my Spectrum remote. And then I have an SCX10, Axial SCX10, which is has some upgrades. I have some scale stuff in the back, not too much. It's got a Inti 45 term, I think.
Okay.
Motor. I'm running 2S on this. I got the stock ESC, and I got some aluminum shocks, and that's pretty much all I have. And I have a wireless windshield.
Cool.
That's nice. I've been looking at those trucks, so I kind of want a second truck, and that would fit nice on my gooseneck. So.
Yeah.
Cool. And what do you guys have got for aluminum upgrades on your trucks?
For my SCX10, I have aluminum shocks, and that's pretty much it. I haven't really. Oh, sorry. I made some steel links for it, but the only thing I really have is aluminum shocks on it, and they're looking pretty good. And the thing's still stock, so it still works pretty good. And on the Savage, it's all stock. It came with a steel spur, but everything's still stock on it. It did come with some aluminum upgrades. Well, aluminum that came with it, but still stock.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Dante, do you have any aluminum upgrades, or do you actually have the original axle on the Trailfinder?
I have the original axle. I kind of like leaf springs for now. I might change. I'm thinking of changing the front to the other, whatever you would call them, the other kind of shocks later on. But I'm thinking of keeping for sure the back leaf springs. So there's not a whole lot of room for upgrade there. I did change the leaf springs themselves a little bit, so they weren't quite as stiff, because the stock leaf springs are pretty stiff. And like I said, I made my own metal bumpers because the first day of running those, I ran into the door and they just burst into like 100 pieces. So
Wow.
I did that. I kind of want to change the rock. What do you call them? The rock sliders or the stepping on the side of the truck. Yeah, I want to change those. I'm not sure what I want to do yet. And I'm working on some smaller accessories, and I've been looking at some lifts and jacks and stuff that I want to make. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's kind of cool once you go to start making little scale accessories. You can get pretty creative.
Yeah, they're so expensive.
Yeah, to buy they are, but if you're creative enough, you can make your own, which is nice.
Yes.
But you got to realize that the people that makes those metal parts, like even if you make a part, how many hours are you going to spend on it? So
That's
when you
true.
actually buy a part from somebody, even if it's custom made, some people are saying, well, it's too expensive or whatever. Like he says, yeah, but material's expensive, but the guy's time also. Some people are going to spend 8 hours on one item or even a week on a certain item. So that's like a week's pay. So people bitch when people want to pay charge like $80 for a bumper.
Yeah, if I had a $20 an hour job, I spent way more than that on my bumper. You know, I've redone it quite a few times, and I'm happy with it. But like you said, yeah, I would have probably came out better if I had a well-paying job just to buy the real thing.
Yeah, some of the items you actually get are actually made in a factory, so it's kind of it's kind of not cheaper, but they're still well made. But
Yeah.
it's not as if somebody made it custom for you.
So just like let's take GCM for example. Do they make theirs in a factory? Their stuff?
Well, most of their stuff is pretty much all aluminum, and it's all machined aluminum. So there is some machine, and it's like you drop it in the machine, and the robot cuts it all by itself.
Yeah.
And then they usually, depending on the machine size or how big it is, they usually make a 4 or 5 at a time, or 10 or 20, and then they flip it around, put a different blade, and like it still takes time, but
Yeah.
But it's coming up with that design also in AutoCAD to put it in the machine.
Yes.
One quick thing, not to get us off topic, but can you explain the difference between like a 27 turn motor and a 45 or something? What's the difference? Is it faster versus power?
Yeah, it is going to be faster and more torque. So when you go with turns, it's faster. So a 10 turn is going to be way faster than a 35 turn. But when you put that in a crawler, you're going to have more torque, which means when you put your wheel against a rock or against something, it's going to bite slowly, and then it's going to go on it, compared to a motor that has a very high turn. If you take a run at it, it will still turn, but just to get turning, and with all that weight of your rig, it might not go if you have a 20 turn. I have that with my rig all the time. I'm stuck on a rock, and it won't go because the wheel gets stuck between two rocks, and it's just jammed. It doesn't want to go. But I don't get that with that red Jeep.
Yep. On a typical trail truck, what would you suggest?
Probably a 35 turn. That's the favorite of everybody, a 35 turn with proper gearing. Because you can still go pretty fast. My little red Jeep there, I put a 3S on there. I got a Tican FXR ESC, and I put a 3S on there, and it's fast. It's a fast little truck.
Yeah. Like, I'm running a Integy 35 turn motor, 45, sorry. And before I was running a 35 HPI motor. And I was running both of them on 2S, same gearing. And there is more speed in the 35 turn than the 45 turn, but I think what I heard is like the higher the turn, like so like let's say a 45 turn compared to a 35 turn, a 45 turn is going to have more torque and less speed.
Well, got a couple guys that came in. Anthony.
Hey, Tank.
Hey, Shrimp a lot. Oh, Anthony, you sound like a robot to me, Anthony. Your audio's on there. That was funny. Now I can't hear you. You're gonna have to unplug your mic or do something. Can you guys hear him?
Yeah.
It sounds like a robot.
Yeah, I can't hear what he's saying, but...
You sound like a robot from a very bad movie. A B
Yes.
movie. Just try to unplug your mic and replug it. Sometime it comes back. I've had that issues with some microphone.
Like right now, I'm using a laptop, so it has a built-in microphone.
Mr. Brett Parker just joined us.
Hey, Tank. How are you?
Doing good. So, Mr. Shrimpalot, what have you been up to? I've seen you post some things with your trail finder and your little new red ones.
Oh yeah, my son kept taking my stomper all the time and breaking it, so I got a trail finder for him. He's still taking the stomper.
He's still taking the stomper?
Yeah.
Cool. And Shrimpalot, you're from Ontario, Canada also, near Toronto, right?
Yeah, I'm just outside Toronto and Oshawa.
Okay, and Brett, you're from that area also?
Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls?
Yeah.
But Niagara Falls, Canada?
I'm from Orleans.
Anthony, you want to try your mic again?
Oh, it still sounds like a robot.
Nope, still sound like a robot. It's a very nice mic, though. It looks good.
Yeah, that's all that matters, right?
Do you have another mic? Let's see if I can't... You actually watch the live stream, you'll see it's delayed by about a second or two. And if you open it up, you'll see what you sound like. It'd be better if you type the question or type what you're trying to say, because we can't hear you right now. On your side of your screen, you have, when you move your mouse, guys, you have a little pop-up. There's questions that people can ask, or you can actually present from your PC, some pictures, some videos. And there's also a little blue icon, and that's for the people when they type a message. If they don't have a microphone, they can actually go there. And right now, there's no question and answers.
I just sent something.
Anyways, so Shrimpalot, what do you think about metal upgrade?
Everything on my trucks is metal.
Okay, but everything, that's the key word, I think. You didn't just replace a C-hub or a... Well, you got the trail finder, so all the axle is metal. But did you ever have an SEX10?
No, actually the stumper came with the plastic T-Rex axles.
Okay.
So I took them off. I broke those real quick. Changed them up, put the metal T-Rexes on it, but metal bumpers, metal sliders, anything that gets banged on rocks and that, just changed it. Works a lot better.
Cool. And what about you, Brett? You have one or two trucks?
Yeah, I got at least one or two. Metal stuff, fine for crawlers. Not for the bashers. I think the bashers should be all plastic.
Yeah, I find that plastic usually bends way better, and that's what I was explaining to Dante a little while ago before we got started. He was on before, and I was saying that a C-hub or plastic actually bends and will come back, but after it breaks, sometimes that's what I do with all my trucks. I usually replace it with the same plastic part. Because if you don't replace it with the same plastic part and the rest of your truck is plastic, you're going to end up creating another weaker point somewhere else. So if you go metal, you got to go metal all the way through, from your axles all the way up to where the motor is and even the gearing, or else something else is going to break.
Yeah.
And then Travis was actually saying that aluminum, some aluminum, not all, are pretty weak, and if you bent a tower for a basher or whatever, sometimes it's hard to bring it back, but plastic will.
Yeah, well, you gotta buy good quality aluminum too. You can't keep buying Integy stuff and expect it to last.
Yeah, like Integy, like they're one of the companies. Like other people have different thoughts on Integy. What I've heard from Integy is it's very soft aluminum, but I'm not sure. I've never tried it, so I shouldn't like really think anything bad about it. I'm not sure anything about Integy products.
Yeah, I've heard about the same thing about Integy, about some people saying that the metal is not too good, their aluminum. And another one I believe I did was these guys, level 3 RC.
Yeah. They're on eBay, I think.
Yeah, they are. So I did buy some aluminum from them from my Wheelie King. This is actually to convert it to a better four-link, and it's very weak aluminum. And I even bought the arm at the front for the steering, and within 2 or 3 times I actually drove it, the aluminum really bent, and just in the field I just lifted it up and it went straight, and it was basically my first aluminum part I ever bought, but I was surprised.
Yeah, I'm very picky about the aluminum that I buy.
Well, when you're new in this market or in RC, and like I was when I bought my Wheelie King, I didn't know better. I look at a piece of aluminum. I guess it's buyers beware. You just got to shop it around or whatever. But when you see RC part and you go, wow, this guy's got a lot of different stuff, and I click yes because it was one of the cheapest. But I guess you do get what you pay for. In other words, you don't pay a lot, you get cheaper stuff.
Oh yeah, well, I got to where I am because I bought all the cheaper stuff, and it was a learning curve. You learn what to buy and what not to buy. I learned not to buy Integy.
Did you have a problem with Integy in the past, or did you buy it and it failed on you?
I've tried the Integy. I've tried TopCAD. I've tried GPM, Tapu, not Kappa, Tapu, and
who the heck would call their company Kapu?
I don't know, some Chinese crap. But it's all powdered aluminum.
They probably translated it wrong.
And it's all that powdered aluminum. It's all, if you actually technically break a piece of Integy, you can see all the air holes in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you snap you take a trailing arm or something, or a shock tower, and you snap it, you can see all the bubble points, and it's all cast aluminum. And
cast aluminum is not that strong.
Yeah, and then where they get people is they spend all their money on their anodizing. They make this stuff really shiny and look pretty, and then they sell it to people.
Just trying to get my Wheelie King here, just show you guys.
I'll be back.
So basically, this was one of the very first crawler that I actually got, and the first thing I did is I did replace it with these aluminum parts.
Yeah.
And then I changed the linkage, put the servo here, and I did the same thing on the other side. So on this rig now, I actually have four-wheel steering. So this is my wife's rig when she comes in the woods with us, and she drives it, but she gets confused when I turn on four-wheel steering.
Yeah. This is my dad's rig. This is another SCX turn. This is a SCX 10. He's got dingle bumpers on the front and the back. He's got RC four-wheel drive, Mickey Thompson, ball hop block, UCC tires, it's pretty much all stock on the bottom. He actually made links for me, my brother, and me, and himself. So those were pretty good. The ones on the AX10 with those brothers, they didn't really so we had to buy some links for him off of eBay, and they're looking good. But this truck is pretty much all stock. And compared to my truck, I actually lift up my truck and his, and my dad's truck is really light, which I don't know why. Probably because
Your audio is really going down.
me?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe because I'm going far away from the.
Yeah, you're a little bit better now.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Cool. We've got Buddy back. Did you change computers?
I sure did. Is this any better?
Yeah.
Oh, that's way better.
Okay. I moved too, so I'm closer to my router.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem. So where are you from? You got that cool little logo you made on your thing there.
Yeah, Chesapeake, Virginia. So,
Okay.
the whole Google thing is getting me kind of crazy these days. I'm not sure. It set it up as a page, but then you have a regular profile, which I guess is this one, and it won't let me log in with the one that I'm actually subscribed to the RC Brotherhood group in. So, or my YouTube channel is on. So, but yeah, I'm new to RCs. I've been doing it about a year and a half or so, and the post you had here really intrigued me with the metal parts, because I hear everybody says different things at the local hobby shop here, and so I thought I'd come and see what all you guys had to say.
Well, I think the problem with Hobby Shop, they're there to make money.
Yeah.
So they're gonna try to sell you some of their stuff. In other words, and every time I go there and I go and I want to see hub for my Slash, like last time I had my Slash for I believe a year and a half, and I finally broke a C hub at the back, and I go there and I ask, I want this part number. He goes, well, why don't you buy an aluminum part? And they're, no, I don't want the aluminum. I want the plastic one. I drove it for a year and a half. It never broke, so I'm going to leave it that way. And he goes, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
But 90% of the people would say, or new people would say, why is it better? Yes, it is better. But my problem is if you change that one, you can't just change the C hub. You got to change the carrier also, or else that's going to break because you're
On a
creating.
Slash, there's no way I would put anything aluminum on the Slash.
Oh, there's people that do.
Yeah, that extra weight, it's not worth it.
Yeah, but it looks cool.
Yeah, well, unless you're building a shelf queen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with building shelf queens either. I have one, and I won't run, but...
So you do have to be careful a little bit. That's what we were saying. I don't know if you heard that, but you do have to be careful of what company you buy aluminum from. For the simple reason, different people have different gauge of aluminum and different grade of aluminum.
Right. I was listening earlier when you were talking about that, and how they machine them and everything.
Cool.
And also, are different aluminums different weights? Like, is there different companies that weigh their aluminum different?
Weigh it differently?
Yeah, so like, is there like a company that make the two same parts, but they use like more thicker aluminum, and would it be different? Would it be different weight if another company's aluminum was different?
Yes. If you have two identical parts, say you have instead of just an axle housing from Energy for a Wraith,
Okay.
or one from Vanquish, the Vanquish one's going to be heavier.
Yeah.
The grade of aluminum is, you got 2000 series, 3000, 4000, 5000. All Energy stuff is 2000 series.
Okay.
Vanquish is all 60-65 series. So that's
Vanquish, billet.
and then, well, billet's a little different. Billet,
That's why it's heavier. It's more dense.
right, and then because billet aluminum is processed by compressing the aluminum, and then there's 70-75. So the higher the number, the better quality and the heavier that aluminum is, because there's more iron in it.
Now, do people usually post, or on the spec of that part, do they usually say what their aluminum is?
Some companies do. Energy does. They have their grade 2 and the grade 3 axles, which is actually their 3000 series aluminum and stuff. They don't actually tell you that. You have to read between the lines. But Vanquish and STRC, they both tell you their grade quality. And a lot of the smaller companies, like Locked Up and all them, they all tell you their quality difference. Even chromoly, or their stainless steel, or even titanium. It's all the same. Each company has a different grade. Like I've seen people have their Vanquish titanium links, and somebody get Integy titanium links, and they'll break the titanium from the Integy because it's not the same grade. So it's just, there's a lot of games out there too.
I'll tell you what then, you're talking about weight for the slash. On my Axial Yeti, I would do like heavy steel on that whole rear axle because that thing is so front end heavy. It just nosedives all the time.
Well, on my Yeti, I put a Curry on the rear of my Yeti.
Okay.
So you guys talking about the Yeti XL or the regular Yeti?
I only put an aluminum diff on my Yeti, my small one. My XL will remain stock.
Because it's a basher, and bashers, you need them to bend and flex and whatever under the stress of jumping high jumps.
Yeah. I've got my Yeti here somewhere.
So Brett has a lot of trucks, and he did a couple things with Joe Ferguson, a couple videos and all that, and everybody around that area say if you buy a truck or you're going to upgrade it, go Brett or go home. That's the same with him because he's got a lot of cool stuff.
There's my Yeti. That's the Curry I put in it.
Cool. Those are hard to get though, eh? I hear everybody saying it's back ordered.
Yeah, but I got 3 or 4 sets here that have been sitting here for a while. So.
So they all went to you.
Yeah.
What's the difference if you had, let's just say, the stock plastic axles on an SC10 and a let's say a Vanquish Curry axle? Would the change from an aluminum axle from a plastic to an aluminum, would it change the performance?
Yeah. Your biggest change is it just adds some weight lower end.
Yeah.
Adds a little weight below the axle. There are some negatives. Aluminum doesn't slide on the rock as well as the plastic does.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem I was having was, because I run big brushless systems in all my trucks, I would actually, the SCX axle would actually twist, and then that's when my gears would slip. So when the axles start getting older and you're getting a lot of power through them, the plastic starts to deform, and then that's when you have breakages and issues. So that's why mine all have aluminum axles in them.
Okay.
But do you need to do that? No.
Yeah.
I do have one set with a set of burley tubes in it, so that eliminates that problem, but still keeps me with a plastic housing.
Yeah. So like, what I was trying to say is like, so like sliding difference. So it would be harder for aluminum to slide on rocks than not. Like not.
Yeah, that also depends on your axle too.
Yeah.
Like the cheaper axles, like the Indige stuff, which is a softer aluminum, it'll hang up and not move over rock as easily.
Yeah.
But if you got a harder one, like the 7075, which is pretty damn hard,
Yeah.
it'll slide pretty easily, actually.
Yeah.
But like Brett was saying, if you put more aluminum on a crawler, it is a good thing, especially on the axles and lower end, because it keeps your weight on the bottom. It keeps your weight low.
Yeah.
So you do have positive, but you also have negative, depending on the kind of aluminum you actually use.
Yeah. So like if you're crawling up a steep rock, it's better to have like lower end weight than top head weight.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And usually a little heavier at the front doesn't hurt either.
Okay. Because that's why I moved my battery to my front of my SUV. See if that would help me out.
Next week I'm going to have Harley Design. Hopefully he's not going to back out. And Chris Robinson from GCM Racing. And we're going to be talking about shocks. And it should be good because Harley comes from the Rock Racers. And Chris from GCM comes from crawling. So it's going to be two different things talking about it. But it's just like a racer. If you race, you need flexibility. You need something that flex and goes through the bumps pretty good. And just like a Yeti, that's why it's so awesome, the Yeti XL or even the Yeti, because of front suspension. You have a lot of a flexible suspension because you want it to go fast and you want to keep control while going fast. Compared to a crawler, well, if you have a crawler, then you don't need to go as fast. You don't need that much suspension. That should be interesting next week also.
Yeah. Yeah, see, even my crawlers will have a decent shock on them. But I'm more about performance than I am appearance anyways.
Yeah. And who else we got there that's new? Paul, I think you're new. Did you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I just live here in St. Albans and pretty new to rock crawling.
So you're into the rock crawling on like an XCX10 or professional?
I have an SCX10. I have a slash 4x4 I occasionally take out and kind of beat the snot out of it once in a while, but mostly rock crawling, and it's kind of growing pretty big here in Vermont.
Yeah, it's actually growing pretty big everywhere, I think, the rock crawling. But one thing I've noticed a lot is a lot of younger people keep putting a very fast motor into their crawlers. And I think, Brett, you're one of them also, but you're not that young. You just like the power.
What's that?
I said, you're not that young, but you like the power. That's why you put a lot of power in your rigs.
Yeah, I do like the power. Well, I used to build the one-to-ones, and when I built one-to-ones, I didn't put 4 cylinders in them either. They're all 600, 700 horsepower. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care what rock you're crawling, you need. When you want the power, it needs to be there.
But on your crawlers, are they waterproof? Do you use the brushless waterproof system?
Yeah, all my Pro 4s, my Rock 412s, they all go through the water.
Okay. So your motor and your SC is actually waterproof, or you waterproof them yourself? Because I see a lot of guys doing that.
I waterproof them myself.
Cool.
Yeah. I use this actually. Thermal coating.
Okay.
What I use, pull them apart, put that stuff on like nail polish, put it all back together. She's good to go. It's good for my brushless motors, my ESCs, my receivers, my servos.
It's the first time I see somebody actually using that stuff. Everybody's talking about liquid tape or plasti dip for their stuff.
I hate that crap. This stuff is actually designed. This is the same stuff that Holmes Hobbies uses for their factory warranty stuff. Oh, that. Gosh, backwards. But
Where do you buy that?
just at a computer store, computer parts store.
Okay.
But it's actually designed to waterproof electronics. That's what it's designed for.
So it puts a very thin film on the electronics.
Yeah, you don't even see it. And then you don't have a problem with liquid electrical tape or plasti dip. All that rubber will change with the temperature. It'll heat, shrink, and expand, and then it'll crack, and then it fails. You also have overheating issues with it because you have to put it on so thick. This I don't have any of those problems.
Okay, cool. That's a good tip.
Definitely a good tip.
You can also buy it in a spray can. You can spray it.
Now you're just making it too easy for us.
Yeah. It's actually very simple. I'm surprised more people don't do it.
But on your motor, you actually have to open up your motor, take the board out, and then put that stuff directly on the board. You don't just put it around the connector.
No, what I do with my ESC or my motors is I pull the board out. I plug my sensor wire into the board. I pour my thermal coating in a container. And then I just dip the whole thing in it, pull it out, let it dry, dip it again, let it dry, then reassemble it. And then I never have an issue with it.
Cool.
I've only used plasti dip, so I'm not sure what any of the other stuff.
Yeah, plastic dip, you can't even, it's hard to do your brushless motors with plastic dip too, right?
Yeah, I've only used it on my ACX10 brushes.
Yeah.
I'm glad you talked about this because I got to redo most of the electronics in my truck when I put it back together. So that'll be good.
Well, this little container that I have was $10, and I can probably do 100 items with it easily.
Yeah. I'll look at that stuff. I screenshotted it, so I'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever tried balloons? I know it's kind of a temporary deal, but...
Well, balloons are not really temporary. I actually, when I did my last video with Chris Robinson at GCM on my buggy, I was actually mentioning the receiver. I put it in a balloon. Just simple, because I was too lazy to actually open it up and plasti dip it, so I just put it in a balloon, and it's going to stay there until the balloon actually breaks.
Yeah, the balloon started, I think, with the old school stuff before waterproofing was a thing to do. Like even back in the 80s when I was originally into it, you used to put all your stuff into balloons. And that's what actually, to me, it actually told you to do at one point.
Yeah.
Again, it works well. I have a problem with overheating with it. And if there's a pinhole in your balloon, then you find out the hard way.
Yeah, well, it's with everything else. You do have to, once in a while, take your truck apart and verify everything. But I think that's where a lot of people are become lazy or whatever. They run their truck, and they don't take it apart or fix it in the wintertime or do maintenance on it. They just run it until it actually dies. And I think that's a big problem.
I had a conversation with one of the guys in the So-Crawl Club about a month ago. He ran his truck for like 2 years and never pulled it apart. And I was shocked. It's like, you don't do any maintenance? And he goes, no. He asked me how often I take my trucks apart, and I said, after every run. I pull doesn't take long to pull the truck apart. Make sure there's no water in the diffs. Make sure bearings are all good. Put it back together. Part of the hobby I enjoy, I guess. But
Yeah, that's true. Me too. It's so a lot of time we go on the trail with a lot of people, and they want to try my truck. I said, here, try it, and just run it. He goes, yeah, but what if I break it? Well, it's going to give me something to do. I'm going to fix it. And that's what I enjoy also, is fixing and tinkering and doing stuff with it.
like that's like when oh no, you weren't at. We were at North versus South with Chris.
I almost made it for that one.
Yeah. Well, when we were there, that was my first day with my Yeti XL, and that was my first run there. And I gave it to I don't know, a 12-year-old kid. Let him run it. And people are going like you're crazy. And he goes, "What is he going to do to it that I'm not?"
Yeah, that's true.
Drive it off the cliff.
So would I. I would drive it into a tree, as long as he doesn't hit someone's car. He was pretty good, but he wasn't a stupid kid. He had an RC there, so I let anybody run my stuff.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm going to help people take my truck for a run. But if it breaks, no big deal.
No, when we go trailing, I'll bring 4 or 5 trucks with me and decide what I'm bringing, and my trucks are always there free to use for anybody else.
Yeah, it's sort of different for me because I'm in grade 8 and I don't have a job, and like I don't like have an allowance or anything, so I normally get the money from like my birthdays and stuff like that. So if I break a part of my truck, it just sits there for.
Yeah, but if you were in our local club,
yeah,
and there are other kids your age in our club,
yeah,
if you break a part on the trail,
yeah,
there's going to be somebody there that has the spare part that you need.
yeah.
It may not be aluminum, it may not be the best part, it might be a stock part, but someone will have something to get you back up.
Yeah, like I'm in the same group that François is in. I'm in the Rock Crawlers out of group, and I'm in the Japanese group. And I remember François we did a crawl downtown with the guy Joey in our group, and a pin came out of his drive shaft on his SCX10, and he couldn't. But no one had one. So. Did you find one, François, when you were there?
Yes, it was right at the end of the crawl, actually, and somebody did give me one once we got back at the car. Oh. But just for the rest of the trail, I didn't have, I think it was front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive I didn't have because I just lost the set screw for the dry shaft.
Yeah, well, when we go on our big crawls, I got my backpack with all my really good assortment of parts in it. And there's been a few times that I've given away maybe $100, $200 worth of parts, from MIPs to servos to ESCs and motors.
Wow, I got to go on the trails with you then.
But it's all part of the hobby, right? I have extra stuff. People need stuff. Why not let them use it?
Well, it's like last summer was my first competition I went to, and halfway through the course, my servo stripped out the gears, and one of the other guys just came up and said, "Here, take this. He's got a brand new Savox." And I kind of felt a little intimidated being the first comp, but, just the fact that the offer was there, he had like $100 servo, and it's just, "Here, take it, it's yours." It's pretty nice to see that in this hobby.
Yeah. It's usually, I usually have, like, servos. I got new ones in packages, and most of the time the guys will usually buy them for what I paid for them. But if it's someone that's hard up on cash or just new into the hobby, I got cheaper ones that I'll give away, or it's not a big deal. I mean, what's $30 or $40 to get somebody happy and into the game? It's not a big deal.
The only thing that I normally bring on the trail are my tools and my tools, and I have like trays with like sorted screws, not like ties and like that. And I normally bring drive shaft to like if I lose a pin out of my drive shaft and it's 610 and I have to
See, I would be more than happy to give you something on the trail or something broke. Because if you're showing up and you're in grade 8 and you're making an effort where you have your own tools, you have your own truck, and you brought what spare parts you have,
yeah.
I would have no problem giving you a $50-$60 servo.
Yeah, like I'm just lucky I've never shipped out a servo, so
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Cool. We really got off the subject of aluminum parts, though.
Oh yeah. We did.
Unless he's
Well,
giving
that's-
away aluminum parts on the trail, then we could be right back to it that quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, servo has metal, no aluminum,
Yeah.
except for the horn.
Yeah. I give away a lot of servo horns.
Now, like, for aluminum shocks, is there a difference between, like, let's say, performance-wise between a plastic shock and an aluminum shock?
Yes. There are a few nice plastic shocks for a budget build, but usually the aluminum ones will run smoother. They'll perform better. They usually hold oil better. They run smoother. They don't stick as much.
They don't leak as much.
They don't leak as much. Yeah. All my trucks have aluminum shocks, but yeah.
What kind of aluminum shock, or which company do you usually like for aluminum shocks?
Depends on what I'm using the truck for.
Okay.
If it's Wraith-based, where it's a little faster, like the Yeti or the Wraith, I like the Proline Power Strokes off the Slash. That's probably my favorite shock for that. Something that's a little slower, that needs a little more finesse in the rock. And a budget one, I like the Traxxas big bores, the aluminum big bores. Then I like the Kyosho Red Velvets,
Okay.
but they're a little pricey at $200 for a set of 4.
I find a lot of the Kyosho stuff is expensive, but they got some nice trucks and things like that.
Yeah, they are by far the smoothest shock. Whether or not they're worth the extra money, I think they are, but it's all relative.
The Red Velvet, you put that in what truck?
I got Red Velvets in my SCX, my Mantis, my Truggy, and my Spider.
Are they
So
durable?
do they come in different length?
Yep, you can get any length you want.
Are they durable?
Durable? Yeah, I haven't broke them yet.
Okay.
I got no leaks, I got no breaks, and I got no bends. I'll see if I can bring a set over.
What do you think the price range would be for around like an XCX 10 size?
Well, he's going to tell you once he comes back.
Okay, yeah, yeah. But I just,
I don't know if you can, how well you can see that. So those are the Red Velvets.
okay, nice. So they're threaded body,
What's that?
threaded body shocks.
Yeah, they are threaded, yeah.
Okay.
Now, are those aluminum or metal? I know they look like gunmetal.
Yeah, those are aluminum.
Aluminum? Okay.
Yeah.
And what do they go for a pair usually?
It's 175 US for 4.
Okay.
So Travis, you're gonna have to wait for Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, if budget was a concern with shocks, I do have one truck with the Traxxas big bores on them,
Yeah.
and you can get them for like $30. The only problem is they're not threaded bodies. You need the C-clips to adjust them, but once they're adjusted, you don't have to worry about them. I don't have a problem with them leaking.
Like the ones that I run on mine, they're not threaded body. I just put shock cleaners and C-clips, and they're working pretty good. They're just I got those off of it was my uncle, and he put them on a old midnight pumpkin or too big, so I just took them off of that and put on this new open. They're the same length as the stock actually.
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Okay.
Yeah, for some odd reason, your PC, when you start talking, it's not bad. But as you keep talking, your audio keeps going down and down and down and down, and then we can barely hear you.
Okay. Hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I was just saying is just I had some shocks off of my old midnight pumpkin that I didn't need any, that I wasn't using anymore, and I just threw them on that. They were the same length as my stock ones and everything.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be all right. But it's not always what everybody else does either.
Yeah.
If it's something that you have and it's working for you,
Yeah.
if you have a set of shocks and they're somewhat smooth and they seem to be working for you,
Yeah.
the last thing I would be buying is another set of shocks. There's probably a million other things that you could probably use.
Yeah.
for
Like,
you.
I've never bought a pair of shocks before, and I don't know how to set them up. I've never really done anything with shocks.
As far as setting them up, it's trial and error. Put them on, go run it.
Yeah.
If you don't like the way it runs, change the oil, change the spring rate.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell you really how to set it up for you, because only you know how you want to drive your truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, on shocks, there's different ways to build a shock and actually put oil in the shock also. A lot of people I've noticed when they build the shock, they take the shock and then they before, let me put myself on present. So they build the shock, they leave the shock shaft down, they fill it all the way to the top, and then they screw the top on after the air is out. Well, the problem with that is that now when you push on the shock, even without the spring, it's really hard when it gets to the end.
Yeah,
Because
it's airlock.
the shaft actually takes room in there. So a lot of people, they say, well, put it in halfway, then screw it on. Some people say, no, push it all the way to the top, then screw it on. Problem with screwing it all the way to the top, and when you pull it out, it actually pulls itself back in.
Yeah, it all depends if it's got the bladder at the top of the shock cap.
That is correct. And some shock actually have a bladder, and some shocks don't have a bladder.
If it has a bladder, you put the shock all the way to the top when you fill it with oil. If it doesn't have the bladder, you have to leave it halfway in the center. My rule of thumb. Doesn't mean I'm right, but that's what I do. Some shocks, like I ran in my Kings. I said it had a Kings on my SCX. On a light truck, Kings were all right, but I didn't run any shock oil in them. I just ran maybe 1/8 of an inch in the bottom just to keep the shaft lubricated.
Okay.
But it also, once again, you're right back to how you run your truck and how you want your own truck set up, right? With oil, without oil, what weight you run, spring rate, how much droop you want. I don't run any droop on my trucks. But
Well, Francois, I gotta go, okay?
No problem, Travis. Thanks for coming in.
nice meeting you, Travis.
Okay, nice meeting you too, guys. Yep.
Bye.
I
That's
think with the
one thing.
shock. Go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Paul.
I was going to say, I just think with the shocks to it, it also depends on, like he said, you got to put them on, you got to get used to running them, because I forgot the brand I have. There's no oil in them, they just have a spring. And at the last comp we went to, the ribbon I took was unbelievable. But through half of the courses on some of the rocks, I knew how my truck would react, how my truck would roll. So I think a lot of it is putting a shock on, finding the proper setting, and then learning how your truck reacts to the shock as well.
Oh, for sure. It's just more experience and runtime and how you like your truck, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, well, experience I don't have.
Yeah, but you know your truck, though, right?
Yeah, I know how my truck's going to roll and everything else. And I mean, like I say, I had a couple of them. They were really ribbing me because I don't have, the shocks with the oil in them. And it's like they were busting my chops. Oh, it's this, it's that. But when I came through the section, and then at one point I actually had to tow them out because they were flipping over. And it's kind of like, you want to just chuckle and grin, but instead you just, lend a hand and tow them out because it was a hands-free incident. But
Yeah.
it's just knowing your truck.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's knowing your truck, and it's also a bit of luck, too. I mean, our last competition, the North versus South, in the 2-2 class, the kid that won first place in the 2-2 class won it with a completely stock Wraith.
Yep.
He was 12 years old, the guy that took my Yeti out, and he just had the right bounce, he had the right weight, it just worked for him. But that was a complete stock setup, and I came in third. But here's a $400 RTR truck came in first place over my $2,000 custom truck. So it just shows that the money doesn't need to be there, and it's just luck and how the day turns out for people.
Luck has a big part to play with that because in pretty much anything, any race or any racing, real car, small trucks or whatever, someday you're lucky and someday you're not. You might run your rig for a year, nothing breaks, and all of a sudden, whoops, you go on the trail, and as soon as you put it on the ground, whoops, it doesn't work anymore, or it doesn't want to go, or you break on the first hill. It's
Yeah, that's kind of why I love this hobby so much, is because money doesn't really mean anything in it. And that was a perfect example where this new kid with a stock truck came out, had fun, won some money. I don't know, he won $160 for the day.
cool.
So he had a great time, and he'll be back. And it was everybody's on an equal playing field, regardless of what you spend. The money is to customize it for personal looks only, pretty much.
Now, Brett, did I hear you were saying, was it your Yeti that you're putting aluminum in, or is it the Yeti XL that you're doing the aluminum? One, you said you were leaving completely stock.
My XL will stay stock.
Okay, so it's on the Yeti that you're adding aluminum.
Yeah.
Parts, or you built it with. Because I buy, just because of time, I buy ready-to-run trucks, and then my mantra is replace it with what I would have wanted to get if I were to build it on my own as I break things, which on the Yeti is very, very quickly in my case. Seems like every run I've broken something on it. And so right now it's sitting out in my garage with the rear axle is snapped and bent the middle rod running through it. So I've pretty much got to get an all new casing, get the new axle set, and do that. But before that, the Burley axle.
Yeah, the Burley tube that goes into your axle.
Okay.
Do you have those, Brett?
Not for the Wraith, no. I got an SCX set here, but no Wraith sets.
But you got an aluminum right now axle. But if you get an aluminum axle, you don't need the Burley tubes.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I was thinking
anyway,
about.
I just keep replacing. Like I said, I thought you had said that your Yeti you were not doing aluminum, but that's I don't have the Excel, and so my plan is to just slowly
Yeah, I
replace.
put a vanquish curry in the back of my Yeti.
Now is that centered?
That one's not centered now.
Not centered. Okay. I looked at those in the non-centered. You said the curry.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were out of stock pretty much everywhere I looked.
Yeah.
But
I believe GCM also has Metalhead, I think. But I
Yeah.
don't know if he has stock of them yet. Though. I know he
Yeah.
made a bunch of batch.
Yeah, I got a set of 2 or 3 sets of those here too somewhere.
Are they installed on the truck, or can you show them?
Yeah, I got some of each.
The Aluminum King, Brett.
Yeah, I was looking at getting a set of the metalheads from GCM.
Okay.
And for now, I was just wondering, though, what the difference would be with my stock with some of the beef tubes in them until, getting to how much, because right now I got problems with the plastic stripping out, as I'm sure everyone else does, because I tend to run a little hard. And I was thinking about the GCMs, but right now, due to price and money and everything, I just weren't sure if the beef tubes would be a nice upgrade till I got the money to buy those.
The beef, yeah, because with the beef tubes, your screws thread right into the tubes. You can either get brass, stainless, or aluminum tubes.
Now, which one would you recommend? Because I've heard different stories on the different types of metal.
Yeah, I only run the aluminums, only because every time I go to order them, that's the only ones that are in stock. I would like to try the other ones, I just haven't. I would probably have a set of stainless ones if they were in stock. Metal heads. There's a metal head.
Let me put you in presentation there just a second. So if people speak, you won't. There you go.
Oh, that's nice.
So the gears, the stock gears goes in there, right?
Yeah, all the stock axial gears, all the stock axial stuff works in that.
And that's the center one.
That's the center one for the SCX.
Now, for the Wraith, I believe you can get center and non-centered, I think?
Yeah. This is the Wraith.
Okay.
That's the non-centered one. And my centered one's not here.
What are the benefits of going centered on a Wraith?
Yes.
Personally, I think it's more of a personal preference. Some of the guys say on the Wraith, with the Yeti, the centered one stops it from doing a twist in the air because it has a better weight balance. But I don't see that personally. I don't think there's that big of a weight difference between the left and right. I think it's more personal preference than anything else.
Okay, but when you crawl on a rock or get stuck on a rock, your balance, or if a rock is on the ball at the back, it will tilt over on one side.
I think you'll get less hang-ups if you're off-centered.
I think so too.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. What are good upgrades? Well, you run a lot of aluminums on your truck, but if somebody's on a budget, I guess the best upgrade, I think, for an SCX, because I put that on mine, would be the carriers and the C-hubs. That would be the first thing to change.
Yeah, the chubs and the hubs. Steering link.
Yeah, steering link is a big thing, especially at the front, because if it's plastic, if you get hung up on the rock, your steering, that center rod is just going to bend.
Yeah. Also depends on which SCX version you have. Some have the better steering rods than others. I know I saw somebody's Dodge Ram, and it was Actually, it was like a flat piece of plastic.
Really?
And then after that, I would do servo, and then maybe links, then shocks, motor, ESC, rims, tires.
Rims. What are the benefits? Just weight for the rims, for aluminum rims?
Yeah. Well, any plastic rim I've broken.
You've broken plastic rims on a
Yeah.
SCX10 or a Wraith?
1 second.
I never broke a rim. Did you
Yeah.
guys ever break a plastic rim?
I've never broke a rim.
I've stripped the centers out.
Okay.
Yeah, strip the center out. But you stripped the centers. Is it because you didn't install the wheel right, or because your wheel got loose and you didn't notice?
No, my stomper, there's no slipper in it or anything else, and with my son playing with it, if you get the wheel jam, you power out.
All
Next
right.
thing you know, it's a three-wheeler.
And on the Stomper or yours, they have the hex or just a pin?
Oh, mine's a hex.
Wow.
Okay. Because on my trail finder also, I have the hex, the aluminum hex from RC4 WD.
I'm trying to imagine the situation right now that you would bust a rim in. That's like rocks came tumbling down and crashing on it.
Where are you on? You're on?
Yeah, or it's when you're rolling down a hill, I guess, and because
yeah,
your wheel is so
smacking.
heavy, it just hits something. So
Yeah.
might be. But I know that for myself, I have well over 20 trucks, and that's what I was saying just at the beginning, about 5 minutes before I was on, and Travis and Dante was there. One reason I have a lot of trucks is I buy them used, and I don't do a lot of aluminum upgrades. The only one that has upgrades is the. There's a lot of action there, Shrimp, a lot in your area.
Oh, yeah.
Tell her to come back and say hi.
Come back and say hi. Duck down.
Hi.
Hello. You're live on
She lets
YouTube
me
right
get
now.
in the truck, so I'm happy.
So one reason I have lots of truck is I don't put aluminum upgrades, and some people I know that they spend $2,000 easy on the truck, and I'm on a very tight budget. I don't have a lot of money and so on. So for me, aluminum upgrades is one of the last thing I'm going to do on the truck. But on all my racers and all my bashers, I don't have aluminum upgrades. I tried putting some on my Mini 8, and the first time I went to the skate park, I bent the aluminum tower.
Mm.
And I never did that with the plastic one. So when I got home, I took the aluminum off, put the plastic back on, because the plastic was still good. And I never had any problems since.
Yeah, well, Tank, you saw the videos we have from the skate park for me and my son.
Yeah.
I have a Torment, and it's the brushless setup, but it has almost all of it is still plastic. But that's because of the amount of jumps we do with it. I want it to flex a little bit and it doesn't break.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah, but
that's in 20,
there's a
25
lot
feet.
of guys. There's a lot of guys that have slashes. Like there's one guy in Rockland that I know, the town just next to me. He's a friend of mine, and he's put pretty much all the aluminum you could buy on his slash.
Mm.
And to me, it's crazy because you've added so much weight on that truck that if you actually do go on a bashing spree or a fun run or a race against me or against my brother or whatever, your truck is going to be too heavy and you won't be able to compete as good.
Yeah.
Add more power.
What was that,
Plus, you
Tremont?
need to have a breaking
Add more
point
power.
too.
You guys were talking at the same time there.
Okay, who wants to go next?
You,
Me?
you.
Okay. With the Torment, I put in the Castle Sidewinder.
Okay.
So I upped the power on it. The front and rear diffs are all locked. And we bash that thing like there's no tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, we do flips with it, and haven't broken any of the arms, haven't broken really anything. I'll have to be surprised for a cheap RC.
Yeah. The Torment is pretty good for a little truck and for bashing around and all that. Paul, what do you have to say?
Well, the other thing too is that people like to go with so much aluminum, they don't leave room for something to break, and they end up, breaking something even more expensive. You got to have a weak spot somewhere, to save you more expensive stuff.
Yes, and that's what I was saying right at the beginning. When you put aluminum right at your wheel, then you're creating a weak spot somewhere else, and then so on, and then so on, and it's just daisy chain all the way up to your motor if ever you do an upgrade. So yeah, you do have to, I think, you do have to leave yourself a weak spot like you mentioned.
Sorry, I didn't realize my laptop wasn't plugged in and it died on me.
Yeah, that happened to me too.
Yeah.
What do you do? You put a 6S on it?
So how do you break your rims or whatever you're talking about?
Oh, the plastic ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Usually
all curious.
break right at the hubs.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any rounds to show you, but they either break around the bead lock or they break around the hub.
Is it due to your brushless system?
Yeah, usually. Yeah, most of my stuff have like a Pro 4 4000 kVs, and I usually run them on 3 or 4 cell. So.
Cool. So there's Shrimpalot's rig at the back of him. The red one is his new one. And that gray one, he was doing some, just at the beginning of the winter, he was doing some pulling contest with the gray one. Which truck were you having a pulling contest?
Oh, much everybody wants to pull that thing.
Did you build the chains on the tires?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah, I put the dualies on
And you
it.
build a dually chain also at the back of your other truck also. Want to show that off? You put dually wheel on his stomper.
They don't even rub.
Nice.
That's really cool.
Now those wheels, those rims, they're from RCWD. And they're
Yeah, they're
actually
the
dually wheels.
semi-truck ones from our four-wheel drive. They have the internal rings on the inside,
Okay.
and they're a 1.7 rim.
And you stretched a 1.5 on the 1.7?
Yeah, I put the stock 1.5s on it. I just bought 2 more extra ones and called it good.
Cool. So we've pretty much wrapped it up for talking about aluminum. You guys want to talk about anything and open up the floor again on different subjects? Who's got questions for who? Well, I think we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah, I think you guys have informed me on a lot, that's for sure. As somebody that's, semi-new to everything, I've been learning as I go, and
well, that's why I want to do some of these things, is to actually bring people together and try to get some special guests that has a lot more experience on that, and actually to share the experience of what we found and what we spend money for nothing, in other words, and how to save somebody else some money.
Yeah. Well, I got the Axial Yeti. I was looking to get into riding some more trails. Everything I've done so far has just been on like the racetracks, and I live out here in the country in Chesapeake, Virginia, and I have these swamps and woods behind me, and somehow I had my my mind changed as I went to actually pull the trigger, and I ended up getting the Yeti, and unfortunately it's seen more bashing than it has trails, which means that it's been on the bench being worked on more than it's actually been on the ground, well, because it's always in the air even when I'm running it, so
Yeah.
but
what were you thinking about buying instead of the Yeti?
well, I was looking, you know, everybody's modding out the SCX10s, so I was looking at some options there, and the Wraith, and I don't know, the whole speed thing got to me again, and so, you know, when I was weighing, I got to a point where I was kind of looking at the Wraith and the Yeti, and I just said, well, I'll just take the speed, and I guess, you know, maybe I could change up my motor and my gearing, and I could get, you know, get it down to more of a little bit of a rock crawler, but you know.
Yeah, that's a common problem I see with the Yeti. There's a lot of people buy it as a basher, and they keep breaking it when it was really designed as a U4 truck. And I don't know if you've watched any of the U4 over the last week or so, but it's very seldom a U4 truck leaves the ground or jumps.
Yeah.
It's a fast rock crawler. That's all it really is.
Yeah.
And
but it's really tricky as a rock crawler. You know, when I sit and watch all these videos and the control that everybody has, I mean, the Yeti, you know, if you're not hitting the rocks fast, it's really hard to have any real great control over it. At least stock how I have it as far as the gearing and everything. So.
Yeah, the problem is they released it stuck in high gear instead of low gear.
Mm-hmm.
If and when that 2-speed comes out,
I've been reading about that.
It'll work a lot better in the rocks. I plan to use mine a little bit more in the rock than I do anything else. But did you lock your front diff yet?
No.
No.
Is that something people are having issues with or doing?
No, just if you're crawling more.
Yeah.
You lose with the lock the front diff. You lose some of your mobility at the high speed turning, but you gain in your crawling ability. So
okay.
I locked mine, but I kind of knew what direction I wanted to go with it too. So
yeah.
And I think, Brett, you nailed it earlier. As you said, a lot of people are buying Wraith and using it as a basher.
People will pick up the Yeti and try to treat it like a Revo or a Slap.
Yes.
Don't watch any of my videos.
I don't have a problem if people run it like that, but you can't complain if it breaks, too, right?
Yeah. I just crumpled one of the rear trailing arms, snapped off the shock shaft, then I just busted the axle. So, yeah. All on the right side, like you were talking about it twisting in the air with the whether or not it has to do with the placement of the rear differential. But it does get, you know, especially when you're trying to flip it, it twists when it flips. So it's an interesting bird.
Yeah, and then that's why like it's a rock racer. And when what's nice with having all that speed is you're on a rock and you want to jump to another rock, or you want to get that extra boost to bring you somewhere else. You have it with a Wraith compared to an SCX10.
Yeah.
And I find a lot of kids are having. I see a lot of posts on there saying, "I want to trade my Slash for an SCX10." And first thing you do with the SCX10, they drop in a brushless system in there. and thinking I want it to go as fast as my Slash, but it doesn't have the same suspension.
No.
You have to be careful. You can't jump with an SCX10, but I see a lot of kids wanting to do that and doing that, and that's when they're going to start breaking things. They're going to say, well, it's no good.
Yeah. Yeah, all my stuff is capable of speed, but I don't run it like that. It's just the quick burps.
Yeah, it's for a quick burst to get you out of trouble, out of that rock, or onto another rock.
Or into trouble. That's why I bought the XL, is because that was my basher. It's not really a great basher, but it's a basher.
Now, do you have any Slash or any racing rigs or cars?
I had a Slash. I had a Mugen MBX6. But I'm not a racer. I don't have the right temperament for it. I would have.
But one thing, if you haven't done, if you haven't done any trail riding, I know you were mentioning you haven't done any trail riding with anybody. It's different. It's fun when you get with a group of people and you head into the woods and you follow each other and you have fun, and it's just a complete different experience, and everybody's there to help out, and that's what I like about some of the events I've been to.
Yeah, the community looks really, really cool. And while there's probably a competitiveness to it, when you're at the racetrack, it's definitely competitive in that, nobody wants to share too many tips or tricks because, they're trying to edge you out. But, yeah, every video, I watch a lot of the crawling videos, which is what made me jump because, my other truck is a low C10.
Yeah.
Short course and, super fast, and I wanted something. It's just the ground clearance doesn't allow for me to take it through the woods out back by my house. So, so that's why I started watching all the different videos from people on YouTube, and ended up somehow with the Yeti. What I should have done is gotten two trucks, got an actual crawler, and then got something like a Revo to to do the jumping and flipping that I tried to, get one truck to do both.
Yep.
Hey guys, I gotta head out. So good talking. Does this happen every week, or what's
Whenever I feel like it.
Awesome. Well, you'll see me again soon, okay?
If I get enough people asking for one or talk about it, something special, I will put it on. I know I did one last week or the week before. I know I'm having one next week again on the 18th, and that one's going to be at 9.
Okay, awesome. Okay, see you later.
See you later. Thanks.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Yeah, and then that's why I have the Slash also on top, and I do have a two-wheel drive SC10 from Team Associated. That one is my son. And when we go out and bash, well, we bring the racers and we have fun with it. And then when we go crawling, then we bring the crawlers. And he's 5 and he understands very well the difference between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep my Slash for the same reason. It's just something to go out when I feel like beating and driving real fast. Other than that, though, like I said, I'm into the technical of driving the SCX.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I had a Slash that I used to bash. Then I sold it, and I bought the DBXL, the low C fifth scale. And that thing was too bloody noisy. So that's when I bought the Yeti XL. I sold that.
Well, I jumped down from Nitro to the Slash because I was sick of the maintenance on the motors on them.
Yeah.
And even then, I probably should have stuck with my Nitro because the Slash, I ended up putting in a couple motors, a couple ESCs. Just because I was too hard on it, I expected the same out of that as I did my Nitro.
Yeah. What do you mean you expected the same?
Well, my Nitro was quite the little beast, and I kind of really beat the snot out of it, like I do everything I guess I own. And the Slash just couldn't take up with the abuse I put it through.
Yeah, 'cause I'm a firm believer that the nitro or the electric is far superior over nitro anyways.
Well, I find it's a heck of a lot less maintenance, and it's plug and go compared to nitro. You do have a lot of tweaking, but the sound of the nitro is just awesome.
Yeah, but with the electric, you can go out at 11 o'clock at night and run through your backyard if you want to.
That's true.
Yeah, that's the other reason too, because I live in apartments, and my neighbors used to tend to get a little upset when I'd get the nitro out there and start ripping it across the lawn.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the same reason with even my fifth scale. That's why I got rid of it. The only stuff I got now I got a gasser, I got a boat. That's the only thing gas I got now, but
No, it's gas or nitro?
No, it's gas. I'm not sure. There's my boat.
That's nice and big.
Yeah. Boat compared to the T-Max.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's
That thing was huge. How many feet is that?
4 feet.
Now, is that another body for the boat in the back, or is that another boat?
That's another boat. So this one's that's 8.5 horsepower. It was clocked at 75 mile an hour.
Wow.
Wow. On the water, that's fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the only gasser I got left. But yeah.
Now you still got that truck there. You're showing that nitro truck.
Oh, that's my neighbor's T-Max. I gotta fix that stupid thing.
So you're the local RC garage in your area?
No. That's a one-time off. I mean, I'll fix things for people if they want me to, but it's not that common. Most people like wrenching on their own stuff.
I found that's half the fun.
Yeah, my neighbor just picked up this for his son, and he doesn't know anything about them, so it was a mistake for him to buy a nitro for. Nobody knows anything about it, but
yeah.
Yeah, I got 2 vintage nitro sitting in a bin. I don't know what to do with it, so I think I'll put them on eBay and see what happens.
I have somebody wanting to give me one of their old nitros, so I might take a look at it. But it's one more thing to have to worry about fixing at this point for me, and with my other trucks, it's gonna take up enough time the way that I run them. So
yeah. Well, when I got into the RCs like a year and a half ago, I bought an MBX6 Truggy, and it was nitro, and I ran it for like 2 months, and then somebody convinced me to convert it to electric, and I haven't gone back since.
Well, see, maybe I would just take it and look at converting it then. That's something I hadn't really thought about.
Well, if you get it for free, yeah, but as long as you don't pay a lot of money for it.
Right. Well, he just said he'd barter something with me for it. He's a barterer.
Oh, yeah.
So it's probably he'd just have me come out and do photos of his garden or something for him.
Because remember, the most expensive part on the RC I found are the ESC in the motor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any spares laying around.
Yeah.
You will.
You.
You will.
As his wallet gets thin.
Yeah. I find, I don't mind putting into them. Like I said, I start with the RTR, and so even with the Yeti, a week after I had it, I dropped another 150 into it or something, and aluminum like the upper links and the rear trailing arms. I went with the Blue Monkey, the diff cover on the rear. I mean, all of it just adds up quick. So
Blue Monkey makes a good product.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and I guess the Carter Fab upper links for the front, aluminum, because I had both the stainless, I think, and aluminum options.
Yeah.
And so I went with the aluminum because I planned on it getting wet. So
yeah.
Does anyone ever make their? Because I make my own links. Do you make your own, or do you go with the store bots?
I have a mixture of stuff. I don't make links. I have a friend that makes links for like $25. He makes them out of surgical steel and threads them because he's got a machine shop. So
cool.
It just makes sense for him to do it. And for $25, it's not worth my time. But some of the stuff I have Vanquish for links.
Because usually what I do is I get the threaded rod and then I put the brake hose over it to just give it that extra little beef. And I haven't really found any problems with them lately.
Yeah.
I just like your input on it.
My honest input?
Honest, agree or disagree?
It
I won't ask.
It definitely works for the scaler. SCX, definitely, for sure. I find it being a weak point on the faster stuff, U4-based stuff. It usually bends or breaks with the U4, like your Ultra 4s or your Wraiths and your Yetis. That's just my experience, but I'm hard on trucks anyway, so.
Well, I tend to be too. That's why, I kind of ask because I had some other people say, that you should buy them, and I've had them on my truck for 2 years now, and I haven't had any bend or break or anything.
Yeah. Well, then you're doing something right. I've had one set. I think they're still here somewhere. And I didn't have them break or bend, but they were on my. I just changed my plans on it, and my wheelbase changed. And
Well, I made it for a friend of mine, and he come back and he was telling me, that it was cheap and it was this and that, and I asked him what he was doing. Come to find out, he was banging his truck up against a cement stair, and I tried explaining, it's not the craftsmanship, it's, the truck ain't meant to be driven against the stair.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
So at that point, I switched over from aluminum casing to the steel brake lining, and to this day, he hasn't been one.
Yeah, well, if you're using the steel instead of aluminum brake, a lot of people are using the aluminum brake tubing too. And then, as long as it's a tight fit between the threaded rod and the brake tube, some people use it too sloppy, and there's like a 1/4 inch play there, and there's no strength there. But if it's a tight fit, you've got the strength for what you need to do.
Yeah, I usually end up having to put a double nut onto the end and vice gripping the steel brake tube. And it kind of almost like threads into the pipe, so it's kind of a really snug fit.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the same as the set that's here that Buddy made. Yeah. So in that case, if they're done like that, you will never have a problem with them.
Yeah, it's just for me personally, I find half the fun in it is trying to create your own parts, and being on a budget, I like to get by the best I can, the cheapest way I can.
So Monster Man on Facebook or on YouTube put a reply. He says most overhyped RC in 2014 is the Yeti. That's what he put.
Hey, at least somebody's trying something this year or the end of last year.
Yeah.
I read
a lot of the same.
I read a statement today that somebody nailed it perfectly. He said you don't buy an axial product for what it is. Buy an axial product for what it can be.
Hmm.
Because my reply to some people was, what RC truck don't you modify? I mean, the Yeti could have been better, yes. It could have been stronger. It could have been an extra $100. But if my Yeti was a little bit better than what it came out of the box, and it was another $100 more, right now it would be exactly the same truck right now because I still would have modified it my way.
I was gonna say you just spend an extra $100 because you'd have wanted to get your own parts. Yeah, and that's Did you buy yours as a kit or?
No, mine's an RTR.
It's RTR. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hear again. It's anywhere you go, you got the people that hate stuff and the people that I only build or But in my mind, I wanted something I could get it out of the box and play with for a couple of days while I waited for the new parts to come in the mail, and so that's kind of what I did. And I think it's actually I've driven quite a few cars. People like you guys that let you run their cars, and it.
Oh, he froze. Your video froze. Maybe your battery.
Blast. Me?
Yeah, you froze up there for a minute.
Oh,
Okay.
you're back.
I'm curious to see if anybody's gonna come out with something as a competitor like Traxxas, or if anybody else is kind of eyeing the market, if the Yeti's actually continues to perform strong, if
Well,
they're gonna try
Kyosho
to
came
jump
out with
in.
one.
Yeah.
Well, I know of another axial product coming out soon too, so that's sort of competitive to it,
Oh, that's
but
cool.
it's actual own product. So
Yeah.
Talking about modification, this is my modification I did. Can somebody tell me what this is?
Hold it still for a second.
Door hinge?
Door hinge or hinge of some kind.
Okay, but no, I mean the truck.
it's a Revo front end.
That is correct. But this is the modification I did.
Whoa.
Well, what's that? That's the twin hammers, isn't it?
Twin hammer arms, but an SCX10 rear axle.
Yeah.
So it's actually a E-Revo extended. I got exactly the same wheelbase as a SCX10, but the performance of a twin hammer.
Huh.
This thing is crazy nuts on the trail.
Cool.
And I got a brushless system in there. This thing is fun.
You got the gear ratios the same, front and rear?
Gear ratio is a little bit faster in the front.
Yeah, so it's like overdriven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried it as a dragster, but because all the weight is at the front, and these are the wheels I had for it, and no traction, but because all the weight is all at the front, I was getting no traction, and I was always losing control, so I said, screw the dragster thing. For a while, I had it as a beach truck with the paddles front and back. It was fun. And now I put crawling tires on it, and it's just crazy fun now on the trail. Chris tried it, and he loves it. Chris Robinson. He said, that truck is amazing on the trail. Very good performance.
And the body looks pretty sweet too.
I got a couple videos. If you guys have time, just go look under Rat Rod, and you'll see it from the start when I decided to make it. It was a fun build.
Definitely take a look at that. Well, hey guys, I gotta check out. I got a couple things I gotta do tonight. Thank you for all of your insight and I've seen quite a few of you that have been on here through like the RC Brotherhood and on YouTube, and so
Cool.
so yeah, definitely. Even if it's not through this particular type of channel, there's I'm definitely learning from everybody as I go. So
Feel free to add
quite
us,
cool.
add us to Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, will do. And this isn't actually the account I normally use, like I was saying. Like this is my email account that I use to create my channel page or whatever, but
This is your Google account, not your Facebook account.
well, everything I have is under Team CCXRC is the, you know, the
Google.
logo and everything, but it wouldn't let me use Google Hangout or log into this because it's like a subcategory of this particular Google account. So you created it as like a business page, I guess. I don't know why. I wanted to use the name of it instead of my personal name, but you know, here it is with my personal name anyway, so it's all good. So it's just that the everything doesn't link. So if you see me liking you, it'll probably be from that account when I start subscribing, or if I've already subscribed.
Thanks a lot.
So, all right, thank you guys.
All right. Nice talking.
All right. Bye.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. We're almost hitting not at 2 hours, but an hour and 45 minutes. I think we're gonna cut it, and we'll see you hopefully next week, and see you on the trail.
All right.
Hey, Tank, quick question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you get that rope yet, and did you break it?
No, I didn't receive any rope yet. You sent it out the day you said you were gonna get it?
Yeah, I mailed it out to you that day. And let me know if you break it, because, like I said, I'm kind of hoping somebody will break it, but as of yet, nobody's broke one yet, so don't be
maybe
afraid
I can
to
get
put it.
Chris Robinson back with his Yeti, and we can try the pull again against my Savage.
Well, I had a couple summits. A guy hooked up a couple summits to it, and he had it going full bore, and he couldn't break them either, so. And if you do, don't worry. I've got another one that's made out of some 325 paracord.
Cool. Yeah. Cool.
I'm just looking to see if I can make the ideal scale cord that nobody can break.
Cool. Shrimplot, Paul makes some pretty cool, and he braids them himself into the cord, so there's actually no heat shrink or anything holding it together. It's just a rope, so actually the harder you pull on the rope, the harder that knot becomes.
And right now, like I said, I'm using a 95-pound cord, so. But I've been sending them out to people that I know, and I've been telling them, try and break them, and let me know if you do, and because I'm looking to perfect it.
For sure.
Okay, and I thank you very much for this, and I will be joining you on the next one. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for stopping by.
Good night, Paul.
Good night.
See you later, Shrimplot.